Hello, everybody. I'm Costa Macris, and I'm the founder of ETLetsTalk.com, the ET Let's Talk community, and the People's Disclosure Movement. The ET Let's Talk community is a gathering of 20,000 people globally in more than 100 countries who are making daily, weekly, and monthly contact with our benevolent star friends. We invite those of you watching here who want to learn how to make contact with our ET friends to come to etletstalk.com. The membership is free. There's a map there where you can find others near you. There are a lot of videos and pictures. And again, there's a community there of people with whom it's safe to share your stories and to teach and to learn from. That's etletstalk.com. Now, the People's Disclosure Movement is even a wider movement than the 20,000 people because it encompasses many other networks other than just etletstalk.com of people who are making this interactive CE5, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, contact with our visiting extraterrestrial friends. So the People's Disclosure Movement is bypassing governments and other institutions of authority by us being the authorities. When we make the contact on our own, we go from being believers to being knowers, and then teaching someone else how to do it. And that's the way the People's Disclosure Movement has been growing. And again, it's a matter of us taking our power back from authorities who have been lying, manipulating, and covering up the UFO ET presence for decades. So I encourage people to talk about the People's Disclosure Movement, come to etletstalk.com, become free members, and let's grow this thing. It's the most massive, widespread, regular, and coordinated movement on the planet right now of human beings contacting our cosmic friends. So let's be a part of it and let's grow it. Today is April 6th, 2019. This is the second in our series of webinars for the People's Disclosure Movement. I want to welcome everyone who is joining us here in real time from all across the world, actually, and also to welcome all of those of you who are going to be seeing this and when we archive it up on the internet. So this is the place where we share our stories. And rather than me talking the whole time, this is going to be your time to talk about your ET contact stories, share them, and to learn from other people who are on this call as well. This is very informal, and it's up to us how we want to conduct it. So I will look for the very first hand here on my console for someone who wants to start us off with an encounter that they've had, maybe their favorite one. There we go. Hi, David.
Hello.
Hi, hi, Costa. Yeah,
Hi.
good to be here, and you know, to meet these other lovely people across the globe who have the same intention. It's wonderful actually to be connected.
It is.
With you all. So yeah, we've been doing CE5 contact work for many years now.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's quite a few experiences we could share.
Yeah.
The most recent one was actually probably not your usual type where you see lights or spacecraft in the sky, but actually in dream state. So Dave put out a call for a contact experience to happen during sleep state. And it was me that actually got the contact. And I had this very short but quite profound memory during my dream state of meeting these very tall Nordic beings with grey suits on, like grey kind of clothing. And they felt like they had some message or some kind of purpose for being there, like to watch or guide or to help us along. And I told Dave in the morning, he said, "You saw ET beings in your dreams. You know, I put a contact call out." And I said, "No, I didn't know that." So
Yeah.
yes, that was quite nice.
It was. I hadn't told Rachel. We'd been exploring and talking about moving the contact out of the sky and into a more personal experience in space. And we were laying in bed, drifting off to sleep. And I was putting the intention out. I want to make contact tonight, you know, in a dream state. It wasn't. I don't think it was that long after we'd spoken to Costa. Actually, it might have been a couple of weeks after we last spoke to you.
Yeah.
but obviously because we've got a bit of a connection telepathically, I think Rachel's mind picked up on it, and they came and saw her instead, which was cool.
Yeah.
So that's the most recent.
Yeah, I'm glad that you highlight the fact that you're making attempts other than just the lights in the sky, which are wonderful, because I always tell people that our ET friends have many creative ways to contact us, not just the lights in the sky, but like you said, a dream state. You know, there are other people that have those stories. That's happened to me too.
Yeah,
I think it's important to highlight those as well. So. Thanks for sharing that. I don't know if I cut you off. If you're not done, please resume.
not at all. No, I mean, I can raise my hand again later. There's other people who might want to talk, so I don't want to hog the microphone.
I wouldn't mind if you did. You guys have interesting lives. I know this. Well, to that end, is there an? I see Mage here would like to speak. So let me. Hi, Mage.
Hi there. All right. I wrote a little thing down here, so I'm just gonna read that.
Okay.
I think my favorite key contact experience in the past year or so is probably still my first time. You see, like what David was just saying, what he described in having contact in dream state. Well, I usually have my contact in meditation, mentally, and so. I just so I can, talk to them and see if they want to channel any messages through me. And the first ET being that I met is a feline lyran going by Maybell. And she's beautiful. Like she has the head of a liger. I love lyrans anyway. When I meditate, I leave my palms open up on my knees, so that whenever she arrives, she puts her hands in that she knows that I know that I'm there, that she's there.
That's really sweet. Yeah.
Yes. So I remember I asked her a few questions. I don't remember what they were, but I mostly expressed that I just wanted to be friends and to help them, help us. And she's very sweet and friendly in her responses, and she encouraged me to keep doing this. So because I'm a friendly person, I asked if I could have a hug, and she did it, and oh my gosh.
How did that feel? You mean, did you actually feel the pressure?
I did. Like, she does this thing where she like brushes her fur against my cheek, and I think that's like a Lyran greeting or something.
Can you get that at any time that you want, or do you have to, in order to communicate with her and feel that sensation, do you have to be in meditation or?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I think that's wonderful because like I was saying, when you get a touch or fur like that, how can you make that up? You know, when you and it's so personal. It's like, hey, I know what I saw. I know what I know. This happened to me, and I want more of it. So,
Yeah.
So are you going to be continuing on a regular basis to connect with her, or are you already doing that?
No, yeah. Ever since then, like every contact I've had with her since, every CE5 I've done since then, she's shown up.
Oh, okay.
So she's a regular contact for me now.
That's wonderful. It's nice to know she's part of the groups. Like today, when we're all meeting as a group, she's there. So if she ever has any messages for this group, and I want to encourage people that your ET contacts want to share with all of us, we're totally open to that. I will have some of my own in coming times to share with that come from my contacts. So my point is, the sharing doesn't have to just have to be human to human. We're pulling in our cosmic friends at the same time and letting them be part of this if they want to talk. Now, if they want to show up also and log in, they know the link already, so we're good with that. I see a hand coming up from Mr. Rob Smith. So we'll return to you again later.
Mm-hmm.
To follow up just a little bit with what you guys were talking about, it's possible to have telepathic communication with a wide variety of beings. You know, I have telepathy with my cats on a daily basis. They literally come in and tell me what's going on outside. And yesterday, for instance, there was Katie was up on the deck, and she was looking at this little red object out in the field, and she wasn't sure what it was. She thought it might be a dog or a cat or a fox, and she wasn't sure. And one of the cats came up and looked at her and started making fox noises, looked like they bark, you know, and told her that yes, it was a fox. And so, because we do have foxes out there are all kinds of telepathic communications that are possible with, you know, trees and rocks and plants and ETs. And I can relate one experience that I had. I was doing a guided meditation to contact a telepathic being on another planet, but we didn't specify what kind of being. And I made a pretty strong contact with this fellow, and it was a male. And I, you know, through a process of give and take, he was a little suspicious at first. I found out he was an aquatic being, a kind of a lizard sort of person. And he showed me how he would dive around his pool. He had a little mud bank that was slippery, and he really was proud of it because he could glance off of it and go shooting across his pond. And that was his major technological advancement, I think.
So in other words, they're not all flying around in faster than light interdimensional craft doing all these amazing things. Some of them are sliding in the mud and having fun.
Slippery little guy. But I had some interesting conversations with him. I actually pulled up pictures of planet Earth and showed him from the air, because he didn't know what air was. You know, he was in the water all the time, and he breathed water. And so I showed him that, you know, on top of the water there was air, and he knew what that was, and that there were predators up there, birds, and you could see the legs down in the water, and he would go hide when the bird came. But I showed him where he lived from kind of the bird's eye view, and then showed him a little bit higher altitude of the entire, you know, panhandle of Florida. And then we went up into space, and I showed him the planet and solar system pictures and things like that. Kind of blew his mind. And he didn't know what to say about that. He wanted to know how to protect himself from the birds, I think. And that was a tough one. You know, I couldn't help him very much.
It sounds to me like you were his ET experience.
I think so. Yeah. So, you know, mentoring these critters, you know, that you run into is very important, and giving them whatever information that they need. You know, a lot of times they'll ask for info. Other times you can ask them for information. But I've heard that it's very important to specify what kind of ET contact you want to have. If you want a higher technological society, if you're out casting around. Because when I first started out, I had no clue. I had no idea who to talk to or what to say, or, you know, who to get.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Rob. Yeah, I've got Kelly here.
Hi.
Hi, Kelly.
So, yeah, I think my first any kind of experience, and I've always said, you know, I want more of a intellectual type thing, and just to kind of understand. So my first one was actually on 11/11, and that was actually when I was introduced to CE5. And it was actually Debs. She was doing some channeling, and she looked at me and she says, "My people are talking to your people." And I was like, I know, you know, I could get what she was what was to be communicated, but I didn't fully understand what was going on. But then last month at the C5 meeting, there was some things that happened that I don't remember. There was, they had used me to channel. And I remember before I went into the meditative state, I said, you know, I just want to understand things more, understand life, how things are how things are interconnected, etc. And I had channeled and I didn't remember it. And I saw the video and it kind of scared me a little bit. But since then, I've felt a constant connection with a couple of energies or spirits or higher intelligences elsewhere. And and it's so weird how they do it. They just give me the information. They don't really talk to me. We don't really converse a whole lot, but whenever I kind of put a thought or an idea or question out there, it's like they do something and implant the knowledge right into my mind, and I know exactly, like, just perfect understanding as if I had been studying it. And I've been out now more looking for things, trying to explain things that were difficult to explain before. And I feel like it's a really exciting experience, getting to become more familiar with the process. And I did kind of put out there, I didn't like not having that much control of my body or not remembering everything that was going on, because I was elsewhere doing other work when that happened. And so since then, anytime something was coming through, I've been fully aware of everything going on, all the conversation and everything. So, and it ties in quite well with how I was raised. I was raised in a West Indian Hindu family through adoption. And so I had already kind of, the Z5 thing really wasn't too much of a stretch for me to begin with. And I don't know, it's just been wonderful so far. I don't have anything negative to say because everything's just been so positive and full of love. And that's because I feel part of that is that's what I'm inviting to myself and to my group here in Kansas City.
Thank you for that. When I hear a personal story like that of someone who's like in your channeling thing has done it for the first time, and just to hear it from your own words, what impact that had on you, because that particular thing hasn't happened to me. So it's fascinating for me to hear, your process of going through that. And thank you for your honesty, saying, that it scared you. I don't remember what word you used, but it was a little freaky the first time it happens. And then it's not, right, as you continue to do it.
No, it gets to be more like second nature. Actually, if you're curious, maybe Debs can send you the video of last month's meeting when that happened. But that's a whole other
That's a whole nother
thing. Yeah.
Costa, I can send you that video of our last meeting because it was indoors, and what happened with Kelly was completely unexpected. She was brand new. We were welcoming people, and all of a sudden she started channeling, and she actually was channeling for another member who was on. We were Zooming with other people who couldn't be there, and she gave some extremely direct information to a complete stranger that was very life altering. So that was her very first thing. And she definitely Kelly was not there when it happened. It was an ET being, and it was a very powerful one. So
wow.
Yeah, that was very cool. Yeah, super cool. So you and I have been friends for a long time, and I've had, for those of you who don't know me, I've had lifelong contact from earliest memories daily. And I have all kinds of contact, but Costa and I were talking the other day, and I told him of an experience that happened March 14th, actually. I'm going to give you the date because it involved Larissa, who's down there somewhere on this call as well, and some other of my friends. And I just call it the strange commute. And you asked me to share it, so I'm going to share it if that's okay.
Yes.
Because it's a different kind of contact than, and I think it's really cool today. We're all sharing different types of contact. It's not, and not one of us have talked about the lights in the sky yet, which is interesting. But anyway, I have a very long commute, and it's exacerbated by construction and everything. What should be about 30 minutes is now hour and a half longer. Each way from my work, from my corporate work. And I guess I was kind of bitching about it for a while to people because it's aggravating. So I was trying to find other ways of using that time that wasn't dangerous. And one of the ways I was using it was to, I'm on WhatsApp with a lot of people, and you can leave long voicemails, like stream of consciousness things, while, you know, with other people, if you need to, and it's kind of like speaking real time with them, but that's neither here nor there. I was answering voicemails this day. I got off work and I got in my car, got on the highway, which is about 2 blocks away from my office. And I had my little earbuds on, and I was just I was leaving Larissa, who's on this call, a voicemail. And like I do when I get off work. She's one of the people on my local CE5 team, and she's a good friend as well as Kelly. So I'm leaving her this message. It was, I don't know, a couple minutes. And I got off of that and went to go answer somebody else's voicemail, another friend's voicemail. And I got a reply from her, a text that said, "It's all static." So I thought, well, that's weird. It was just a short message. So I went back and recorded it again. And it came back, "It's all static." So I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know. And I just went ahead and started trying to answer other voicemails. Anyway, I noticed that I kept getting interrupted by Siri on my phone. It would come on in the middle of my voicemail and say, "What can I help you with?" I'm like, that's weird. Why is Siri coming on here? This is so weird. Anyway, I was getting annoyed. And then also in the middle of my voicemails, my iTunes, which I didn't have my iTunes app on my phone anymore because I needed more space on my phone, so I had taken it off. But my iTunes started playing snippets of songs. And not just snippets of songs, but songs that I hadn't listened to that were on a playlist from when I was a professional DJ like 10, 15 years ago. And I just thought, oh, this is crazy. I must be having phone problems. So I just finally stopped trying to record messages. And when I put my phone down, I realized I was sitting in my driveway. And I thought, well, boy, that's kind of weird. I should have paid more attention driving home, but thankfully I got here. But it felt weird. I felt very energized and I felt kind of strange. And I thought, now, wait a minute. How did I get here? And I was just sitting there for a couple minutes trying to process. And then I started getting notifications from everybody saying it's all static. So I went back and looked. I had left to Larissa, I'd left 2 voicemails. I'd left like 5 or 6 different voicemails to other people. And I went to play them just to see, and they were all static, but it wasn't just like, it was like all these weird patterns of static. And I looked at how long I probably had been recording voicemails for about 27 minutes or so, 29 minutes. And I thought, that's also weird because I know that commute's a lot longer than this. And so I sat there for a while and just kind of wondering what's going on. And then I realized, I'm looking at the timestamps on these WhatsApp messages. And I finally got hold of Larissa and said that was weird or something. And that last little message was timestamped 5:23 p.m., which is very important to understand because I get off work at 5:30 p.m. So not only had I gotten home in less than 30 minutes, but I got home before I got off work. And so I posted this to our group because I was so excited about it. I made a little video, posted it to our group. And I think it was Kelly who came back and said, "Girl, you've been bitching about your commute all this time." Or I don't think you used that word, but you said you've been complaining about the commute all this time. They decided to give you a gift and just take you home. And for the life of me, you guys, I swear that is what happened, because it was not lost time. It was compressed time. And it was a manipulation of time, because I never leave my building before that time, because I'm the last person there and I lock everything up. And I always make sure, because there's like a time thing on the alarm and everything, I make sure that it is 5:30 or after when I do that. But the timestamp on that last voicemail was 5:23 p.m., 7 minutes before I left work.
What a weird manipulation.
So fun.
Yeah, and
it was awesome.
I think that was a gift. You're a good manifester. Be careful what you ask for, girl.
No kidding, man. That was awesome. And it humbled me a little bit, because I realized I had been kind of grouchy about the commute for a long time to people, and so I don't complain about it anymore, hopefully.
Yeah. So. Well, maybe you should start complaining about me not winning the lottery. Would you do that? Just keep the complaints going, and we'll see how that works out. I'll cut you in 50-50, okay?
All right.
No, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
As we say around here, you can't make this stuff up when it's your own story. And in the way that you went through analyzing it, you just check yourself. You fact check, and you go, is this possible? Is there another explanation? And when there isn't another explanation, and you're going, okay, it was something new and paranormal. So
yeah, that's Occam's razor. Simplest explanation is usually
always
best,
the best. Yeah.
But what I thought was unique about this was it wasn't just my experience, because I have weird paranormal experiences all the time that include the ETs. But it was an experience that actually used our technology so that I could prove what I was saying was right. There are timestamps, and there are these voicemails are still recorded, and that static is still there.
Yeah.
So very cool that, they know I'm pretty scientific, and I know that I deal with scientific people, and they want to know. So it's not just some, airy-fairy woo-woo woman like I am, just telling a cool story. So
I get it.
Anyway, I thought I would share.
Thank you. And I see a couple hands, maybe responses. Mage, I see you there, so let me.
All right. Hey, I have a question for Rob about about the Happy Mudslide Boys. I'm thinking of them now. I think I've known that that species from Alpha Centauri, and I've actually known in my last or one of my other contact experiences, I actually had several different ETs with me in the room, and it was in that time that I learned that, well, of course, different ETs you can have several different ET races living on one planet, like on Sirius or Vega. And Maybell, she's from Vega. So is her blue avian friend. And then another reptilian friend is from Zeta Reticuli, though that's where a gray species lives. And I just want to know if any of you know where your star families and friends are from.
Yeah, I asked, and he did not know the name of his planet. The only thing he really knew was this little mud hole. And it was interesting, though. He had long sleep and wake periods. He would go to sleep and be asleep for 4 or 5 days, and then he would wake up and be awake for 4 or 5 days. So it seemed like he was on a lot longer, slower planetary rotation than we are. I don't know. That's about the only clue that I got to his whereabouts. He was about 4 or 5 feet long, and he didn't really have a name that we could verbalize because they were primarily a telepathic species. Underwater, they didn't talk to each other very much. They just, kind of knew each other. We had some good communications. It lasted for, oh gosh, 5 or 6 different sessions over a period of about a month. And then, you know, he kind of lost interest, I think.
Nice way to put that. Even other species get bored. Yeah.
I just wanted to share two very quick stories that came to mind when we started. One was the first experience that I ever had in a group when I started my own CE5 team in Faisley a few years back, which is one of those things that you know is has got to be what you think it is, and it's not possible to be anything else. Which long story short, I'd met a guy in the pub, and we'd got talking about this stuff. I'd been doing it for a couple of years prior to that, and he was interested, so we decided to give it a go in a group together. And he came over the following evening, and we sat out under the stars and meditated, and nothing happened, which doesn't sound very exciting. But he phoned me the following morning and said, I had a dream last night that that we should go out tonight. So he came back that evening, and we sat out the front of our house, or my place. We sat out in the front garden looking out over these fields in front of us. I've only known each other for 2 days, me and this chap. And bear in mind, where I was living at the time was kind of out in the sticks in the countryside. And it was the only planes that came over were kind of commercial aircraft, you know, and they were regular flight patterns. But we sat there and did a little meditation, and this bright light appeared in the field in front of us. And started moving from left to right, and he'd never seen anything before, so we were like, wow, that's fantastic, we've had contact. But literally 2 minutes after this thing appeared, we heard this almighty roar over the house, and this squadron of military jets came over my house directly towards where this light was, and it phased out and disappeared. And we kind of looked at each other and went, oh dear, what are we getting ourselves into here, you know? So, but the response that we had, like from terrestrial military aircraft, was enough of a kind of wow, that we've actually just made contact.
Wow.
So that's one story I wanted to share, and the other one very quickly is a beautiful story, which is about 12 months later. Obviously, I'd been doing CE5 for 2 or 3 years at this point. But when I first discovered C5 and Sirius and came across you and yourself and Greer, I'd just gone through my first divorce. So to go from that to starting to tell your family that you've started communicating with ETs, they thought I'd lost the plot a little bit, or I was having some kind of midlife crisis. So the other story is that my mum kept asking me, you know, if I was sure, and if I was, you know, maybe I was going through some kind of trauma or stress or something, and I kept telling her no. And in the end, she agreed to sit out with me one night. So we sat in the back garden, just me and my mum, and we did a meditation. And I said to her, if you see anything, let me know, and I'll give you the laser, and you can signal and communicate. So after we'd done the meditation, she about half an hour went by, and then she tapped me on the shoulder and she said, David, I've been looking at this star for the last 5 or 10 minutes where my eyes were drawn, and it's been stationary the whole time. It hasn't moved. And now it's moving across the sky. So I had a look and saw where it was, and it was coming directly over the house heading south. And I handed her the laser pen, and I said to her, you know, signal around it and say thank you or namaste or whatever you feel comfortable saying. And as she did so, it powered up. It went like incredibly bright and then just vanished and collapsed. Yeah, and her response was, well, I don't know what I've just seen, but I know what I haven't seen. So it was a beautiful evening, because, you know, my mum kind of realized that there was something to what we were doing. But the other reason I wanted to mention that story is because it's also the only time that I've actually had verbal contact with an ET species. Because that evening when we'd gone back in and were getting ready for bed, I was spending the night there, and she'd put an airbed down in the lounge for me. And the second she turned off the light and so said, good night, son, I'm going to bed, I froze and I couldn't move. And I got this buzzing sensation up the back of my spine and into my head. And I heard a voice in the back of my skull, and it sounded like a chorus of voices, like a load of people speaking in unison. And I'll never forget, because they said, we love you, we're proud of you, keep going. Wow. And then it stopped, and I could move again. So that was quite a profound experience in two ways, because there was verbal contact and there was a kind of connection built with the family about it. So
that is amazing. Both of those stories. Thank you, David. It's interesting when the love comes through, you realize it's not just, these things are not just intellectual, perceptive things that happen to us, but when there's that component, like what you just stated, David, that they speak, and it's about love and connection and all that. That's really for me what all of this is about.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that again. I saw Deb's here wanted. Okay, Deb's, you're up.
Yeah, Deb's not here. This is the Star Teachers, and we just wanted to give a final message to everyone. Thank you for being here and for bringing the coherency of this group together, because what you do on this little group today will grow very quickly. As this video gets shared, other people practicing and non-practicing will become more and more interested in getting into this movement. They will become more and more coherent. There is an exponential growth where there will be a massive awakening this year, thanks to your CE5 efforts. This is how you save your planet. This is how you live a happy life. This is how we all live harmoniously together. You are now liberating yourselves from the grasp of the 3D or third density energies and quickly moving into a realm where we can communicate and interact so freely, without fear, without harm, and with love. Continue your work, spread the news, and thank you so much. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you. What all of you just witnessed is Deb's Star Teachers coming through her rather easily. They do this while she's driving. I know this for a fact. And they have done this in circles where we've been present with her before. When they have something to say, they quite easily speak through her. And as you can tell from the words, have very encouraging and positive things to say to us. So I want to thank them and thank you, Debs, all of you, both of you, all of you, for being available for that message. I think I'm getting chills, and it's going to take me some time after this to just process what was just said. I mean, it was so simple what was said and so direct, but so profound. To understand that there is a massive awakening coming, and that what we're doing here today and what we're going to continue to do with each other and by spreading videos like this is totally and directly contributing to the liberation of the planet and to bringing us into closer day-to-day contact as we become cosmic humanity. This is profound. I was told not to underestimate the power of what we're doing today. And again, I thank the Star Teachers for coming through and underlining and bold-facing and italicizing in 32-point type what I thought was possible and to give us those words. So I don't know how to follow that. The story I was going to tell cannot compare to the promise that was just given to us and to those encouraging words. If anyone else has feedback, I'll be happy to bring you in.
I just wanted to say, I didn't know that happened until you started talking about it, so I was gone. So I can't wait to listen to the recording, but it must have been cool. Hope it didn't take up too much time. But the energy feels very good right now in here. So thank you.
Okay. I had forgotten what the rest of you don't know is that when Debs was present with us at an ET Let's Talk retreat we did in Bloomington, Indiana, we were in a circle one night under the stars doing our usual sky watch, maybe about 15 of us. Debs was sitting to my right. And just like what you saw happen here, during a moment of quiet, she started just speaking up very calmly. And we at first thought it was just Debs speaking up or speaking to something that's on her mind in the circle there. We quickly realized it was the Star Teachers that work with her and through her, and they announced themselves. And they spent the next half hour giving us some great information about the nature of our reality and about our ability to liberate the earth and the necessity to save the earth and to keep doing what we're doing, among other things. At the end of that, after they said goodbye and after they answered a few questions for members of the group there, Debs kind of said, "Okay, everybody, how's it going?" She did not realize, she thought she had just dozed off in the circle and was sleeping, not realizing that for the past half hour, as what just happened right now, she was gone so that they could be present and talk through her. So Debs, yeah, it happened to you again. And,
yeah, I was embarrassed at Bloomington because I
no.
thought I fell asleep in the group, and I was trying so hard to hold space, you know. But yeah, I think and there are sometimes when I'm cognizant of everything that they're saying or that anybody who's coming through is saying, but I think when the information is like super direct and really powerful, oftentimes I'm just off on vacation or something. I don't really understand how it works, but it feels good. So
no,
I'm glad it happened.
And I've learned to trust that. And what we want to do, Debs and I have had a conversation about this. We're going to be bringing in her STAR teachers even more. We may be doing separate broadcasts like this one where people can interact with them and ask questions. What you just saw was a kind of a one-way thing where they just addressed us and told us a few things, and that's nice. But what about the ability to ask questions like we did at that night in Bloomington? You know, when they paused and said, "Okay, any questions?" And people, though we were gobsmacked, managed to ask a few. So I think we want to put this into a webinar in the future, maybe one of these here, where we can dedicate it to just being a session between the STAR teachers and everyone else who shows up here to ask questions, and let's have a conversation.
Cool.
So that was the introduction to that. I see Kelly wants to say something.
I was given a bit of knowledge was transferred to me that soon there will be a message given tonight. Whoever goes out to try to make contact, there's going to be a very strong, very important, very needed to know message given as soon as all the right parties are present in the circle. And they're also have given me the knowledge that they are also they're open to do the Q&A as well. And that was actually before you spoke. But yeah, so tonight's going to be very mind-blowing for whoever is participating. And tonight will be given a lot of knowledge.
Are you talking?
That's what it's need to be said.
So are you talking about our global groups that they're addressing, or about your local group that is getting together? So just so that I can understand the scope of this.
Yes. Also, yes. Local, any groups that are together tonight that are trying to make contact, as soon as everybody is in their proper place, it doesn't matter where you are. As soon as you're in the proper place, the knowledge will be transferred and communicated by whatever way is easiest for them to make contact: visual, verbal, channeled, mental, telepathic, visual, mind-to-mind visual, even emotional. So that's, I think, is encouraging. Okay, I think that's very encouraging because yeah, I think that's going to encourage people to come out tonight that maybe were hesitant.
Wow. Thank you for that. Like that's a validation. Thank you.
Important. And it's important.
It's important. Okay. Thank you. I see Rhonda wants to speak up there.
Greetings.
Okay.
I apologize for being late, and I did mention that I would participate and speak today. I'm not as advanced as a lot of y'all, but I'm really hoping to be. I've had contact from the time I was a child. I remember being dropped off a ship and crying because they left me and other things in between. I'm not as clear about some of the channeling and messages, although I know I get some, and I think I'm absolutely in the right place, resonating with you all to be able to fully develop I feel like a lot of the things some people are doing with either the channeling and healing arts and bringing messages and artwork and books that are so much needed. I think when you get with the people that are resonated, we all learn that we all have these in us, and to focus with that. I'm just really grateful to be a part of this. And both times when the message came that it's going to be very powerful tonight, I literally have just goosebumps from head to toe. This is going to be so awesome. And I just wanted to chime in because I said I would be here, and I apologize for being late.
No worries. I'm just glad you're here, and I'm sure I can speak for everyone else, Rhonda. We all have busy lives, and showing up is 90% of things all the time. So thank you for sharing that and for showing up. Well,
I'm excited about tonight.
Yeah, and what's interesting is most of you don't know this, but in the past, here in our local group, we used to have Skype sessions for a couple years, almost every week, with about a half a dozen people spread out over Canada and the US. And during these sessions, our ET friends would come through the speakers. Now, they would not talk, but they would provide all kinds of weird noises and hissings and things that just were not part of a conversation. It wasn't technical difficulties, because we did this week after week. And we knew they were communicating, and they were using our primitive speakers here. Well, it's been a while since we did those sessions with them, and knowing that their presence was there. Today, while some of you were talking, on my end, I was getting some of those same sounds, like, from the past. And that was, for me, just a personal way of knowing that their presence was here. Yeah. And again, it wasn't static, because so far, this particular broadcast on my end has been really seamless. The video and the audio have been great. So what I was hearing through here, I really do attribute to the past, where it was genuine kind of communication, just saying we're here. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Other than that, I think I'll close. I want to thank everybody for being here. This has been wonderful to have your presence and to hear your stories. And I hope and I plan for this to be the start of something even bigger, like that has been promised to us.
Yes.
Let's keep the thought that we are going to be sending this out, and we're inviting more and more people to come in next time. I'm hoping to do this before every Global CE5 Saturday, but because of my travel schedule, it may not be possible to be doing this webinar on a Saturday morning. I may have to actually do it during the week at other times, or maybe on a Sunday. So I can't say we'll be here exactly a month from now, but you will get the announcements. And again, I invite people who are watching this to come to etletstalk.com and become free members. Look at all the wonderful people that showed up here. These are going to be your homies, making new friends. So having said all that, take care, everybody. Great contact to all of us. Much love to you all.